this explosion of, or this wave of veganism that comes and goes. I will say I find many of those in that group to be very angry a lot of the time when you disagree, or if, again, if I post something on social about an animal-based product versus a plant-based product, simply, I only do that to help raise awareness of the extremes that we've now generated, because potentially when you are in your 30s, 40s, and if you don't have cancer and you are now under this impression that you should further restrict animal-based proteins, which are high quality by definition, I think we're setting ourselves up to fail. I think we are setting ourselves up for an epidemic of osteoporosis like we've never seen. And that scares me. And I feel that we have an obligation to try to protect people from what potentially they don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's a loud plant-based camp, and I think that we need the other side to be pretty loud.
Annoyingly so. Sorry, guys. Again, there's probably a blend of both. We shouldn't omit. And this is one of the things I really like about your perspective is it's not extreme in nature in these ways, even though we're discussing about what our dosing of protein would be. It's not particularly extreme, right? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really put any numbers on it. So
let's hear it.
It's hard to say whether it'd be extreme. I'm not very extreme on protein. I have, there was a time where I was preparing to do some fitness photos, and I had a friend advise me to double the protein numbers on Lyle McDonald's Ultimate Diet 2.0. And so I was eating like 300 grams of protein for a couple of months.
And that's probably robust, pretty robust.
I consider that a little extreme. I think you really have to try to get that much protein, although it depends on your calorie intake, of course. But on my calorie intake, I think that's you really got to go out of your way to try to eat that, in my opinion. I think most people do well on a half a gram to a gram of protein per pound of body weight, and if they have a body composition oriented goal, they probably want to hit that top number rather than the bottom number. And most people probably have enough room to go up or down around the bottom number. I'm going to guess that you like numbers that are higher than that.
No, I don't.
No, all right.
Frankly, we know that the bare minimum to prevent deficiencies is 0.8 grams per kilogram. There's good evidence to support closer to double that would be more optimal.
Right.
Whether that's 1.2 to 1.6, even higher to 1.8. I feel good about recommending on average 1 gram per pound ideal body weight. You can go up or down based on what your preferences are. And also the other thing is we don't know any danger. There's no, quote, upper limit that we've been able to establish of potential downfalls of protein. But then coming into
Unless someone has a urea cycle disorder.
Exactly. Which most people don't.
No, but about somewhere around 8 or 9% of people have a polymorphism in the OTC gene, which is sort of a urea cycle disorder light. And it's possible that those people either need to limit their protein for optimal health, or that maybe they need some extra citrulline or arginine or something which turns on the urea cycle in order to counterbalance the other amino acids or something like that.
Do you think they have any physical symptoms?
I think there is some evidence that they have a higher risk of high blood pressure, and that's from limited arginine production, which limits arginine is the donor for nitric oxide synthesis.
Vasodilator.
Yeah.
You're speaking my love language, which is amino acids. So thank you so much for that. In terms of heart disease, where do you feel that protein fits in? And when I say protein, I guess we should clarify that we're talking about high quality animal-based proteins, because when I think about protein, I'm not particularly thinking about plants. Unless you are, then maybe. But
Well, some people get enough protein on pea protein powder. I've seen that. I've seen that on Instagram. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think that much about protein when it comes to heart disease. I feel like it's a little bit of a red herring, although there is, you could make an argument that there's some evidence that sulfate is protective against heart disease. Way back in the day, Lester Morrison had done some experiments with different types of sulfate precursors that would include the sulfur amino acids, showing some protection against heart disease incidence, hypercholesterolemia and heart disease incidence. And there might be something there, but I don't see it as the central thing. But protein and I do think that antioxidant status is very relevant to heart disease, and protein is sort of the forgotten antioxidant because glutathione is the central antioxidant of the cell, and it's made from protein. So I think it fits in there. I just don't see it as central as I do to sarcopenia and the related things. But
so you're saying
it fits in there.
Essentially, though, it's somewhat more neutral, because I hear and I get a lot of questions about how does protein cause heart disease? Does red meat cause heart disease? We've kind of singled out these whole food sources to, I don't know, pin it on an animal product.
Yeah, that stuff's coming out of the Cleveland Clinic. And look, so the TMAO story, trimethylamine oxide, we could go into the weeds about it, but at a high level, it's this. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would put myself as like a 3 that maybe TMAO contributes to heart disease. And there are about, and I'm pulling this number out of my butt, but I think it's approximate. There are about 30,000 things that have as compelling a case as a possible contributor to heart disease as TMAO does, with a similar quality of evidence. But the Cleveland Clinic has a very good marketing machine, and they have a financial interest in making the TMAO test and getting people to get it. And so I think it's just so massively overblown.